welcome to week 2 of Python classes. So you all have learned amazing stuff in the week 1 content where we talked about how important is Python from a data science and data analytics point of view. And we talked about things like how people can start working with Python with Anaconda installation, Google Colab, or in IDE like Visual Studio Python. So in that series, we talked about how to work with basic Python data structures, simple commands, simple functions, for loops, if-else conditions, other elementary stuff. Today, we're going to be taking the step one more forward direction and try to cover some more amazing concepts of Python. These fundamentals will help you in the long run of your data world, right? So with that, I'm Jayant. I will be taking on this session with you. So let's dive in. So what I'm using Anaconda today. So when you use Anaconda, you allows Jupyter environment to run on your local system. As you can see, it's hosted on my local system. And from there, I am accessing my IPYNB file for week 2. That is interactive Python notebook. Right? And this is the file that I'm working on. Jupyter, if I quickly revise, provides you to work with Python IPYNB, interactive Python notebooks, where you have cells where you can either write a code or a comment. So today, the things that we're going to be covering is about how to play with numbers, basic mathematics, strings, collections, functions, iterations, error handlings, and even if there is another Python code you have written in a different file, how can you call that function in this file and access its derivatives? You might have seen in data science, people say import NumPy, import pandas, LangChain and whatnot, right? So how a code written in a different file can be accessed here? We'll be looking at on that frontier also from an elementary side. So with that, let's dive in. So the first thing we have is a very basic elementary stuff, that is your mathematics, right? So this is a cell where I have written some codes. Anything after a hash is a comment. So this is a comment. My compiler, whenever I run this code, I'll click on run. The compiler understands these are just comments. Then A is a variable that has a value of 10. B is a variable that has a value of 3. So if I add a new cell by clicking here on plus and show you how A plus B, and if I run that cell, gets 30. Why? 10 plus 3, 30. So similarly, I have written some multiple mathematical operations here. What are those? Print division. A divided by B, the answer would be 3.333. Then A, you can say that double division, or you can say that the quotient. So if I divide 10 by 3, what would be the quotient? 3 3s are 9, right? So that 3 multiplied by 3, that is all the quotient. How do you get that? By using the double forward slashes, right? What if you are looking for remainder? If I divide 10 by 3, what is the remainder? 1. Then we use the modulus. And what if you are looking at a power? 10 raised to the power 3. That gives me 1000 as it. Sometimes the number that you are getting, I have a lot of decimals, right? And you don't want that. So how can we do that? We have a function called, let's say this is there, right? A hyphen B. If I run that, it's a lot of decimals, right? So if I type round, comma 2, see what it has done is, this function has calculated A by B and rounded it by to 2 decimal. This is something which I'm doing here. Then sometimes what happens is, you have a negative number. So the absolute sign changes that number to positive. But these are like basic math that we all know, right? What about some statistical maths? What about mean, median, standard deviation? So we have a package called import math from statistics as stats. What this function does, it allows us to calculate mean. If I run this code here, to show you the output, it will calculate the mean of this list. You remember in our last class, we talked about what is a list. A list is a bunch of elements placed inside a square bracket that allows us to work with them in a series. So if I'm looking at mean, I can run that function, median, and standard deviation. If you don't like the output, I can run a function of round on top of it. What will happen? The inner function will calculate the mean and the outer function will round it off to 2 decimal. Similarly, we can do it using the precise decimal function also. That's about numbers. Now, what about our operations dealing with characters? So we have a lot of amazing functions in characters also. So let's say there is a string called deep learning. If you are interested in the length of the string, you see the function length, it tells me that there are 17 characters. What does strip does? Strip splits the sentence into multiple words. The function upper converts your lowercase wordings to uppercase. You see this thing has been converted into an uppercase integer. Sometimes you might have to replace a word. Instead of learning, I need to replace it with network. So deep network. What if you want to slice the data? You don't need the entire string. You just need the word deep. So what I'm doing this, let me run this code for you separately. S is a string. So if I do slicing, what will happen? From second position, 0, 1, second. This is the second position. Till the sixth position, 6 minus 1, till the fifth position, the element will be printed. Now what will happen is, sometimes when you are using print statement, you can use something called F string. You see this F? S strings are a way of writing comments in programming languages. They are in Java also, it's there in Python also. The advantage that you get using F string is I can write characters and use the variable also using curly braces. As you see, this thing is in red-orange color, but this is black. Why? This is a character, like a normal string, hello, and this is a variable user. And dot 1 float means I need 1 decimal after the number. So you see this thing, 1 decimal after the number. Similarly, we have a function called split that splits the elements using comma separate. Or on the contrary, if you want to join element, you can use the join command. So now you know what happens. I know when we are learning these things for the first time, I'm coming from the same roadmap which you all are following. We get to know confused, like, do we able to remember all of this? It comes with practice. Right? This is maybe you are looking at all of these things for the first time, but eventually you will get accustomed to it. Next, increasing the complexity a little bit more. Remember, lists are mutable, means I can change their value. So there is a list called num, which has 3 elements, 3, 1, 4. If I do append, what will happen? 1 will get added after 4. Then if I do extend, 5 and 9 will get added after the number. Right? So let's say I want to show you this thing again. Let me run this code separately. If I run this code right now, what will happen? Oh, I have changed that all. See, originally 314, you added 1, it became 3141. So what we are doing is, let's say now let's do extend also. So 314, then 1, and then 59 got added. And then there is a function called sort. What this function does? It sorts the array. 1, 1, 3, 4, 5. However, in tuple, which are your round brackets, you can pack and unpack these things, right? If I run this thing separately, if it is getting confused, let me run this. See, the original value was 10, 20. After unpacking, first element is 10, another element is 20. Then what about dictionaries? You remember dictionaries? Key value pair, key value, key value. So we can fetch the element by using the get command. See, what is a model is a dictionary. I want to get the value of LR. The value of LR is 0.01. Right? Then just like your dictionaries, we have set also. Statistics set, you remember? Union, intersection regarding those operations you can do. Right? So union means adding these two things together. Intersection means common elements. The common element is only 3. Difference is things which are there in the first one and should not be there in the second. Right? And similarly, sim differences also provides you the removes the column element and gives me 1, 2, 4, 5. It just removes the common element. So we talked about numbers, we talked about strings, and we talked about some amazing data structures. And these are the key things which will help you make your portfolio better in future. Next, we have comprehensions. Comprehensions are for loops, if-else conditions, functions running in a on top of your list, dictionaries or sets. Let's say you want to calculate the square of numbers, right? And if I print this thing, so see, I'm declaring a range 6. Range 6 means count the values from 0 till n minus 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm saying is 0 into 0, 0. Then I will become 1, 1 into 1, 1. Then I will become 2, 2 into 2, 4. 3 into 3, 9. 4 into 4, 16. And 5 into 5. Similarly, I can calculate the even numbers. I can map key value pair. I can calculate the length of each element. So now you're getting the pattern. All the basics that we studied, we are able to run them in terms of functions. And if you want to make these functions more complex, let's do that. Why not, right? What is this function doing? It is the function def called scale. It will take a value as an input which has a name value and it will be a float type. Then it can take n number of values and then a value called factor, which will be a float type of a format 1, default value with 1, 0, right? And the output would be value into factor. So if I call this function scale 3.5, factor 2.0, what will it do? It will multiply 3.5 into. You can make your functions more complex. How? Summarize. It will take n number of inputs, star num in, it will take n number of inputs. Followed by with what value you want to round it off, the output. And then a meta means key value pair. Double star means key value pair. So experiment is a key and its value is A. So I will pass a series 1, 2, 3, 4, round it to 1 decimal and the experiment value is A. What will it return? Length of the data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Length is 5. Mean of the data, rounded off to 1 decimal. Mean is 3. And meta value is, that summarizes your basic to medium level of functions. Then we have lambda functions. What these do? They try to do the same thing which you did using functions, but in inline fashion. Inline fashion means they save a lot of space and time complexity and run faster. So if you have simple functions like multiply, why do you need so much of code? All you need to return is multiply, right? I mean, here we need to do a lot of things, I understand. But in this code, I just need to return multiplication. So what this lambda does it, you see this thing, lambda, x is the input. What do you want to do with the x? Multiply x with 2. And where is x coming from? Nums. Nums is a list. So what will be the output? 2 into 1, 2. 2 into 2, 4. 2 into 3, 6. One line of function. So lambda is running that function. Then it is mapping those values and converting it into list and saving into doubles. Similarly, I can get the even values also. Now, once you have learned to build such amazing functions, you need to learn how loops also work, right? Because in future, you might be having a lot of data and you have to be very thoughtful of how are you calling that data. So range is something which we already studied. When you want to print data from a starting value till the n minus 1. So range becomes 1, 2, 3, n minus 1. What is enumerate? Enumerate takes this letters A, B, C and split them into two parts. What are the two parts? IDX. What is IDX? Is your index. And CH is the actual value. Right? So what enumerate does it will split this into location and the value. And zip will do the reverse. It will merge these two things. You see this? Zip. Zip is associating 1 with 10, 2 with 20, and 3 with 30. Now, after learning about numbers, strings, operations, functions, iteration, there could be some errors also while you are writing the codes. Why not? We are all humans in the end, right? So, there is a concept of try-catch, where by chance, let's say, you have written a code and that code is a part of thousands of lines of code and it throws an error. If you are not handling the errors properly, you will end up with a code breaking. So these error handlings allows us to resolve those edge cases. So there are some popular errors like division, divide by 0, you all know that. 1 divided by 0, 3 divided by 0 will give an error. So how do we define try catch? You write try and you write the functions that you want to do, whatever. Then if this function gives an error, except what is the error? 0 division error. And you caught that error and return none. So the code will not break and it will keep on running. Else division is good. Return the result. Right? Let's call this function. So when I call this function 10, 2, what is the output? Division is okay. But when I'm calling the function next 10, 0, what is the output? Caught division by 0. Right? Similarly, you can raise an exception also. If you want users to enter non-negative value only, and you see sometimes you get an error when you are filling a form, you cannot enter this character. Why? Something very similar like this is written in the background. I have a function def which takes only non-negative values. So if a user has given a value which is negative, let's say intentionally, I'll check that and tell the user you have entered a non-negative number. So please rectify that. Fun, isn't it? Right? Now, not only you are learning how to write amazing code, you are learning how to rectify your codes too. And after you have done such an amazing job, you need to save your code also somewhere, don't you? So there is a thing called path. Using this path, you can save some data into .txt, .csv, .excel file. So let's say you have written some text, name of the person, their score, and blah, blah, blah information, and you want to save that into a txt file. So I have initialized a txt file, and I'm saying open that file, tmp, open, and open it in a write mode. Means I want to write something in that file. Using the encoding 8. And what do I want to write? f.write is name and all of these things. So when I run this line, you say there is a file got created, temp data txt, and see the content in that data. Then I can read that file. What if I want to read and print the data here? I can open that file using read mode. Right? And let's say there are scores that you have saved. I want to get an average of that. I mean, you guys are expert now. Now imagine all of this code has been written in a different file. Then how will you do that? Will you write that code again? Let's say there is a code which a function has been written here in a different file, demo.py. So do I need to write this function again in this notebook? No, I don't. How will I work with that? I will use something called system and operating system packages. They allow me to work with files which are there in a different folder maybe, or in the same folder. In my case, we have kept that in a different folder, in the source folder. You see this thing? It's in the source folder. So I'm telling my compiler that go to source folder. From that source folder, pick up this file demo. This file, name demo. And from that demo file, import the function greet. There is a function greet. What that function does, it takes a name and prints hello. And for example, for me, hello Jayant. So now I'm calling the function. So it found that there is a file folder source which has a Python file demo. There is a function inside it greet, print greet equal to week 2. So hello week 2. But if this would have been error, let's say this function is not there, this file is not there, this folder is not there, then I will raise a function, ensure project match the week 1 scaffold, or in our case, week 2 scale. So isn't it fun? I mean, all the small things that we did today constitute to a very big and large picture. Imagine if you are able to do all of these things on the fly. You are there. You are a developer now. So I hope you all had fun. Please, you will be getting all the content and resources. Go through them, run them in your Jupyter notebook, Google Colab, IDE. Have fun on that and let me know how it goes. Other than that, I'm Jen. Thank you very much. And I'll see you all in the week 3 session. Thank you.